Hi friendos, how's it going? Just the other day I was sitting around thinking, what's the difference between Vue3 and Vue2? And is it worth using right now? Is it worth upgrading my projects? And then I thought, hey, let's make a video. Let's get into it. Vue3 is the new default. It's been out since 2020, and it's been out for about a year and a half, and they've been working on it, refining it. I believe it's up to Vue 3.2. What are the main differences? Well, the first difference that you're going to notice is Vite. Vite is the brand new build tool. It's blazing fast, and you're going to see this in just a second. The next interesting thing is Pinia. This takes the place of Vuex. It is the site-wide state store. It's really fast. It's super simple to use, as you're going to see in just a minute. The next thing that I really dig is the composition API. What is it? It is a collection of 3 different APIs. This makes creating a Vue component very easy, and it's function-based as opposed to orchestrating an object and properties. I'm also going to show you teleport, which solves a problem I've had for a while, which is that sometimes I want to work with DOM elements outside of my application element. That wasn't possible before, but now it is. We'll talk about Nuxt 3. Nuxt is a framework that is built on top of Vue. Is it ready to go with version 3 of Vue? Well, it looks like it is. It's supposed to be released any day now, June of 2022. I think that's exciting. I like Nuxt a lot. And Vue2. Vue2 is incredibly popular. It's a UI framework that plays hand in hand with Vue and Nuxt. Is it ready? Well, again, it's supposed to be out really soon. All right, enough talking. Let's write some code. I find the easiest way to work with Vue is with the Vue CLI, and I have version 5.04 installed here. We can do Vue create, and I'm going to call this little demo project Vue3. It takes just a second, and then I have some choices to make. What version of Vue do I want? Well, it would make sense if this was all about Vue2, now would it? So I'm going to choose Vue3, and we are all done. So I'm going to follow the instructions here, cd into Vue3, npm run serve, and it started the development server, building. Watch how fast that is. I think that's rad. Let's take a look at our site. And here's our site running on localhost 8080. And I'm going to show you the hot reload feature in just a second. But one thing I did want to show you is that to get the site up, I had to run npm run serve, and it's using the CLI service to run this website. That's important because that's about to change in just a second. So let's take a look at the code, and it is inside the source directory. Heading over to our app view, you can see Hello World is the component that I'm going to be working with today. Hello World, hi, of course. And so if I look into components, Hello World, this is what you see right here. So what I'm going to do, just for fun, is I'm going to wipe everything out because I'm going to replace all of this. And gone. Boom. Watch how fast that is. I just love that. That is how fast Vite is. It's almost faster than you can think. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to redo everything here because I want to install Vue2. It's currently in beta, and I want to use it. To add it in, I'll do Vue add Vue2. All right, more choices for us. And I have to say, I don't know what the difference is between these. Vue2 3 preview versus Vue2 3 plus Vite. We'll choose Vite. Okay, fast enough. Let's go back and take a look at the code. And the reason I showed you package.json before is because it is now changed. Notice here that we now have serve, build, lint, and dev. So now instead of running npm run serve, I'm going to run npm run dev, and this is going to build everything. Uh-oh. Well, this depends on the version of Node you have running and other configurations. I've run into this before. It's not a big deal. This target is invalid. We don't want to be targeting ES5 for the build. So what we're going to do is head back to the code and go over to the jsconfig.json here. And instead of ES5, we're going to do ES6. One other thing to do while I'm in here, you'll notice that this template is having some issues with IntelliSense. This might be my local build. I'm not sure what's going on, but I do know that if I want that to go away, I'll do JSX preserve. I have no idea what that means nor why I'm doing it. However, I do know it takes that error away, which I think is groovy. All right, so let's run npm run dev one more time. We're up and running. Okay, let's open our new site, 3000, boom. We got it, Vue2 3 beta, cool. So if we go back over to Hello World, you can see Hello World has changed too, so let's pull this closed. I'm gonna get rid of everything, including all of this stuff, because as we're about to see, all of this is going to go away. This is the composition API that is about to take over. This is the old school way of doing it when you had a component export default and you set a bunch of object properties. You have data. Sometimes you might have methods, you might have computed, watchers, and so on. That all changes with the new composition API. So I am going to just remove everything out of here, down to the bare bones. And let's make sure we have this. Cool. Now we have a totally empty template. Let's play around. I really hate contrived demos, but at the same time, I don't have all that much time to get into the nitty-gritty of things. What I want to do is I want to show a list of my friends, and I want to be able to add to that list. I also want to be able to use those friends throughout the application in other components as well. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set up a contrived demo as to how I can use Pinia. Let's go and take a look at Pinia, shall we? To install it, let's quit this, and I need to do npm install Pinia. I should mention, if you like Vuex and you know how to use it, go for it. You don't need to use Pinia. It's just an option. And it's going to take just a second. Cool. And I'm going to npm run dev one more time. So to work with Pinia, I need to import create Pinia. This is going to be a function that is going to get imported, from the Pinia package. If I could spell Pinia, there we go. And this right here, this idea is underlying all of Vue3, the idea that you're pulling in functions that do specific things. It's not necessarily part of the composition API, but in spirit it is. So to show you what I mean, I'm going to say use create Pinia. Now, as a programmer, I don't know how I feel about importing a function and calling it in a use statement. It seems a little bit roundabout, but whatever. All right, so now Pinia is in place. So how do we use it? So let's go inside of here, inside of source, and I'm going to do a new folder, and it's going to be called stores. And inside of here, we'll have a friend store, which I'm just going to call friends.js. Right, so to create my store, I am going to import another function, define store, another idiom from all over Vue. And then here we're going to import define store from Pinia. Before we worked with create store, now we're going to define a store. So here I'm going to say export const, and then we're going to give it a name. We'll call it friend store. So I'm only going to be tracking the names of my friends, so I'm going to default it to an array. That is the state for my friend store. And then I'm going to have a single action, make friend, make fiend. I like that too. And this is going to accept a name. And this .names.push name. Okay, so now the thing about this is, of course, probably want other things like remove friend. Maybe I'm mad at them, so we could splice it out of the array. Whatever, leave that up to you in your imagination. But this is a store. That's it. Okay, well now let's use the store back in the hello world component. Now before, to set up a component, we do export default, right? And then we might have something like data, and then we might have something like methods. We might have something like computed, etc. You get the idea. You don't have to do that anymore. There's two ways to do this. First, we can do a setup method. And the setup method, what we can do inside here is we can declare a bunch of variables, and all we have to do is return an object. And that's going to be the data that we're working in, the state of the component, if you will. But we don't even need to do that. Vue3 has this groovy, sugary syntax, where now we can do script setup. And inside of here, we can now declare the variables that we want to work with in our template and the functions, and they're just going to be accessible. So to start off, let's import our friend store. And again, we're importing a function that does something as opposed to passing around options as objects, kind of like this. And then this is going to be from, and then stores, friends. Love it. Okay, there's another function we need because we're going to be working with state inside of here. So what I need to do is I need to import ref, and that's going to come in from Vue itself. Ref is part of the reactive API. That's part of the composition API. What is ref? Why do they call it ref? It's just a reference to a value. That's it. To show you what I mean, let's do friends here. This is our friend store, and we're going to do friend store, boom. So now I can work directly with my store. Next, I'm going to say let new friend equal ref empty string. So what I just did here is I used the ref function to create a reactive value. There is another function I could use. If I wanted to, I could use reactive. Reactive works, but reactive is for objects. Since I'm using just a simple value, I'm going to use ref to keep things light and fast. There's also computed in here, but I'm not going to work with that for now. All right, we're going to leave ref the way it is and new friend the way it is. Now what I need to do is I need to call a function make friend, whatever the value is on new friend. Now I might want to have some validations and checks in there, but I'm going to leave it just like that. So let's add some markup to the page here, and I'll spare you from watching me type all of this wonderful Vuetify stuff. If I hit save, you can see, boom, we have now a nice input. We have a list that is, well, it's not really working because I don't have any controls in it yet. We have a form that's going to handle everything, including a text field with a groovy icon. Great. Now we just need to wire everything up. All right, let's have our list actually show something. And here I'll do v4 equals name in friends.names. No more map state. You can still do that if you want to, but here I'm just working with the store directly, which I think is kind of neat. So I need to set a key, and what I can do is I could do the key is name, but I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be unique, so I'm going to do name and I. I is going to be the index that is handed to me by the loop, and then I'll just do key equals I. So now if I save this, we don't have any friends. You can see that our store is working, and it's disappeared over here on the left side. We don't have any friends in there. All right, the last thing I need to do then is I need to obviously output the name of the friend, and for this I'll just do v text equals name in here. Okay, now I need to be able to add some friends because I need some friends. Don't we all need friends? I've surrounded the text field here in a form. I don't have submit button, don't need one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire up submit here, and then I'm going to make sure I prevent the default action, submit prevent, and I'm going to set this equal to make friend, which is our function down below. I didn't have to put this on any object. I didn't have to declare anything funky. I just have to say there is a function called make friend, and it's right there. And I want this to be fired from my form. So in order for the value to be set correctly, I need to set the v model here. And this is going to be equal to new friend, right? And that is this right here. So this variable now is picked up as a model. And I love the terseness of that. Would you believe this is all we need to do? So let's close this, and hopefully we don't have any errors. I'm going to say my new friend is Jane. Haha, that's neat. It works. Uh-oh, sort of. I have a problem. So clearly I have a problem in here. What is this problem? Well, this has to do with the way the reactive API works. Here I'm importing ref, right? It's a ref function. What I'm given back isn't a value. It is a wrapper for the value. So this is a wrapper around my string right here. So the reason we're seeing quotes right here is that, well, it's trying to pull out the value. And what I'm doing is I am appending this actual reactive value into the array. So that's why we're seeing all of this. It takes a bit to get used to this stuff. But what I need to do here is, since I'm using ref, I need to do .value. And what that's going to do is it's going to ensure now that only the value gets passed in and not the whole entire reactive thing. Okay, so Joni and I are friends. Boom. Now you can see the quotes are gone, and then there's the Joni value. And I can say Rick is my friend too, and now we're good to go. I love this functional approach as opposed to sending around objects and options the way it was with Vue2. Anyway, let's see what else we can do with our store. I'm back here on the main component, the app.view. And what I want to do is I want to have a little system bar up here. That's going to be a little bar at the very, very top, and it's going to show the count of friends, because I want to see the constant count of friends. I might have different pages where I do different things with them, yada, yada, whatever. It's a contrived demo. What can I say? All right. Well, what we need to do is import our store. Well, as you can see, we're using the old school export default. We have components. We have a name for our component and so on. And we also have data. Well, we don't need this. But what I could do is I could just come in here and do setup, just like that. So instead of doing script setup, here I'm declaring this is where setup is going to happen, right down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do const friends, just like I did before. This time I'm going to just return an object out of here as part of the setup. And that's it. Friends, boom. All right, so now that I have friends here, what I can do is I can access the names property, and I can also get the length of the names property. All right, once again, I'm going to spare you from watching me type all of this Vue2 markup. It probably should be in its own component, but just go with me for right now. And I hit save, and boom, there is the system bar. And you can see I have a little icon for a user at the very, very top up there. What I want to show up right here is I want friends.names.length. This is Vue's templating syntax, double braces, if you're not familiar with it, 0, boom, bang. Now the question I had was, when I started working with Pinia, is if everything is functional, am I not getting back a new instance here of the friends store? How's this working? Well, it turns out that I'm not. So Fred and I are friends. You can see there's a 1. It keeps track of all of it. And then Gloria and I are friends. There's 2. That's exciting. So this is how you can work with your store in different components. You bring in the store whenever you need to work with it. You don't have to call dispatch. You don't have to use getters, setters. You don't have to worry about mutations, all those things. It's really simple. Like most applications, I want to be able to notify my user what's going on and show them an alert, ideally in the top right, maybe top left, or just have a whole bar, whatever. Now, for our little Vue application here, that's not really a big deal. I can just pop an alert right here at the very, very top. The problem comes in when your Vue application is just one of many on a page. And if I was to just show alerts based on where my application is on the entire page, for instance, it could just be right here on the bottom right-hand corner. And if I was to show an alert that was, let's say, top 0 or whatever, it would be contained right here, and it would just show the alert right over the little box. That is not ideal. So to get around that, we have teleport, and I'll show you how teleport works right now. Here is my alert component. You can see I just have a modal CSS class and position fixed, and it's going to be top 30, right 30, perfect, width 300. So to use this, I want to pull this into the app view, and I will just duplicate this. So here I'll just pop out the alert, and let's see what it looks like on the page. Again, this is Vue2 markup. I like it a lot. I'm not going to orchestrate how to do all this and have it pop up when I add friends and so on. I just want to show you that if I go right here and I go to inspect and look down below, you can see that my alert is indeed buried inside. There's my modal. It is buried inside my main. It's all the way down inside of my app. All right, that is not ideal. What I'd rather have is I'd rather have this popped into the body, because if it's popped into the body of the page, it's going to show up on the top right no matter what. So I can do that. If I go back over here, all I need to do, and this is really neat, all I need to do is say teleport to equals body. There we are. And I'm going to okay, I'm going to save this and watch what happens. I'm going to close this up. Watch what happens down below here. All right, saving. Boom. There it is. There's my modal. It has been appended to the body. Last thing I want to talk about today is Nuxt. It is a tool I use often, and it's basically an opinionated wrapper around Vue. It allows you to work with components and pages and whatever in a very structured and organized way. I really, really like it. I'm not going to go into too many details here, but I do want to say that Nuxt, just like Vue3 itself, is embracing this functional approach where you import functions that do a thing. I'm not going to dive into Nuxt and the changes and how you use it and so on. It's still release candidate 3. It's coming. I'll do that in a different video. But what I did want to show you is the build. Now, if you remember doing npm run dev before, it wasn't slow, but depending on the size of your site, it could take a couple seconds. But now it is near instantaneous. So you'll notice that up pops Vite and boom, it's all built in about a half second, I'd say, maybe a little bit more than that. So heading over to our app here, it's running on localhost 3000. There we are. So I've only played around a little bit with Nuxt 3, but I got Pinia to work with it. I got Vue2 to work with it. And I also have Nuxt content working in Nuxt 3. So all the things that I would expect and want work just fine. I would wait, however, until it's released because you never know what they might break. Well, that's it for me. If you liked what you saw and want to support my efforts, I would encourage you to head over to bigmachine.io, where I sell all kinds of things, including the Imposter's Handbook. And I also sell A Curious Moon. It's a book about Postgres and so on. I also have some video courses there. And I like to do things that are fun and entertaining. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this quick look at Vue3 and the differences with Vue2. I think it's promising. I love the speed. Is it worth upgrading your current application to? Well, I would say wait for a bit while the ecosystem catches up. If you're starting out brand new with a new application, I'd say go for it. Vue3 is the future. Hope you've enjoyed this. I'll talk to you again soon.